Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Welcome back to another Track Titan community race. Here we are, the 59th community race of, well, total. And this is the 5th round of the season. And we're here back in time in Monza, but in 1966 for this special Monza layout with the big parabolic and the big curve of Sud. It should be exciting in the Shelby Cobras. 10 kilometers of track for these drivers to conquer, if you will. 8 big corners, which is a broad way of looking at it because some of these corners are well over a kilometer long themselves. And joining me for all the chaos today is Mr. Spitslam, as ever. Good to have you back once again. How are you feeling about this one, Spitslam?
Feeling great, ready to see something we never saw in this race.
Yeah, it should be a very interesting one. Really not sure what to expect from this race because it's such a unknown territory. This circuit, this car, it's all going to be very, very interesting. But we'll see how it goes. Let's take a look at the championship standings before we get going. Max Newt 7 currently leads the championship quite strongly right now, extending the points lead out at the head of the championship and putting himself firmly at the top. 15 points between himself and Ryan Skywalker. In second, Henry Comsey currently sat in third place and well within championship reach. He's not far behind those two at all. Michelle Rodriguez, a slightly distant fourth, now battling away with Dennis Bosman still over that fourth position. Them two have been swapping and changing every single round. Alexander Gray, Hugh Jass, Sven Gilhold, Peter Jones, all battling it out for that midfield, 6th down to 9th, and then Keith Holt just a little bit off the back now enters in at number 10. The first time we've seen Keith on the leaderboard, and I've given him the wrong flag, but we'll look past that and we'll focus on the racing. As you can see, we're following Henry Comsey this time in a very interesting livery provided to us by Ryan Skywalker, who makes these fantastic liveries every week. And Henry provided the setup for the drivers this week, so we'll expect him to be able to get around the circuit without too much of a problem. That being said, there's about four cars around him on a qualifying lap. How do you reckon this one's going to go for him, Slam?
Not really good, but right now I see that the cars are doing it clean and they know he's on a hot lap, so he's letting him by, so it's fine.
The car in front of him letting him by quite quickly there, which is very nice of him to do. Of course, no blue flags in qualifying, but you know, there's a gentleman's agreement, isn't there? Well, that being said, he does come back at him, whoever that is, in alongside him. Let's put some driver names on. We can find out that Cesar Gomez. This is a random. So we've got a few randoms on track. They were meant to have default skins, but this one might have just slipped through the cracks here with the fire skin.
No, it's everyone. They should have all red skins. They just have random skins.
They've just been given random skins, which makes them harder to pick out, but hopefully the driver names are going to help us out here. But yeah, we do have the return of the randoms this round. It's been a whitelisted server for the last few rounds, especially over the start of this season, but, well, with lower driver numbers, it's been a bit boring. So we brought back in some randoms to bring in a little bit of chaos, a little bit of excitement, and hopefully a little bit of a challenge for the drivers to get around in a way. Speaking of which, the random in the background does go off, and they do come up to another random who is just driving into a wall.
A little bit stuck.
They never fail to
He's
impress.
a little bit stuck.
They never fail to impress to the public lobbies, do they?
No, they don't.
Well,
grab your popcorn. Let's say it like that.
That's a very good way of putting it. I think that's going to be the necessary. Like I said, here we are at Monza 1966. This is a very, very interesting layout and a very interesting circuit in a very interesting car. So it's interesting times 3. I had a few laps this time round this week in the Hot Lap Challenge, and this is a very difficult car to control. This is a very difficult car to control on a hot lap, and these drivers are going to have to race side by side with 18 other drivers on track. We'll see how this one goes for these drivers. Yeah, I'm not sure what to make of it or whether a lot of these drivers are going to survive it. That being said, let's jump on board Henry Comsey for a lap of this circuit as he comes out of the Parabolica. This should be an interesting one. I do believe... Yeah, he's coming across... Is this the start-finish line?
No, it's the second one.
goodness gracious me. Because, of course, I'll jump on for him in a minute then. Of course, because these cars come round down the start-finish line twice in this layout, as the circuits do pass over each other, underneath this oval that Henry Comsey currently is going through. Yeah, that's rather confusing. But with 3.5 minutes of qualifying left, the times should start to come up shortly. But drivers not quite... I don't even think any of them got a solid lap in yet, have they?
No, everybody's on their out lap. Nobody has done a lap.
That's incredible. With 3.5 minutes left, of course, the way that the drivers start here in the pit lane, they have to do a full half lap before they even start their out lap. And then they have to do a full lap after that, I think. Right? To start a lap? I think they basically have to do 2 laps before you start.
I don't do it.
Well, the timing tower will tell all. Yeah, drivers starting to come across the line, step their fast laps. Henry Comsey puts himself up into second position with the 2:42.979, and we'll jump on board him as he goes into the first corner here. Curva Grande. It's a long run down towards Curva Grande here. Full throttle, banging the rev limiter up the top, lifting off, turning in, trying not to let that rear end step out. Henry Comsey with a little bit of correction as he entered the corner there, but he manages to get it under control as he heads up the straight in past the Curva della Roggia. This is a chicane in the modern circuit, I'm sure you're all aware, but here it's just a slight left turn into the first Lesmo, braking deep, locking up the brakes there, getting to the inside Henry Comsey, and then powering out of the corner, feeding the throttle in, feeding the steering in towards the second Lesmo, turning in, understeering a lot here, Henry Comsey. He's trying to get to grips with this setup himself, and he's the one that made it out of the second Lesmo into the Curva del Seraglio. Down the hill underneath an oval, you can see where the oval goes above the drivers now into, well, what is the Ascari chicane on the modern circuit, but, well, it's not quite a chicane here, it's just a left turn. Down the back straight now. We're all very familiar with this back straight here at the Temple of Speed. This is the one that they use on the F1 circuit, so we're all well aware of how long this one is and how long it takes for these cars to get down this straight compared to something like a modern F1 car, and then braking deep into the Parabolica, the unmistakable Parabolica. This one not banked at all. This is a flat corner, and then feeding the throttle back on. Look at the absolute oversteer out the corner there. Henry Comsey drifting out of the corner down the second start finish straight here. The hay bales lining the side of the track, demarking where the drivers can and can't go. Fortunately, the hay bales at Assetto Corsa are made of concrete. Onto the well, I actually call that the back straight into the Curva Nord here, the north curve of Monza. Long banked corner, full throttle all the way from the exit of Parabolica round until the start of the new lap here for Henry Comsey as he's closing in on Smells Like Wheat ahead. Look at the amount of speed he's got on the English driver ahead of him. Just shows the amount of practice that Henry Comsey's been putting in this week to have that kind of gap to a driver just very narrowly ahead of him, especially at full throttle. And here into the Curva Sud. This is another long bank corner. It's epic to drive on, epic to see, epic to witness in real life. I've actually been here. Very lucky to have gone and seen this long curve, and it's a sight to behold in real life. It's even steeper than it looks in the game. But then powering out of that corner, down the start-finish straight, Henry Comsey is going to cross the line, and he's going to put in a lap time this time round of a 42.622, and that's an improvement on his lap time, but that only puts him up into 4th position. And, well, he's going to get, I think, one more lap, but I'm not sure if qualifying might actually forcefully finish itself before then. But, wow, what a circuit. What a long lap that is. Do you think that Ryan's going to be able to hold on to this lead of qualifying onto this pole position right to the end, Spitzler?
I'm pretty sure, because while you were commentating Henry's lap, Ryan was putting in purple sectors.
That is a blistering lap time for Henry Comsey there, 1:42.032. Will we see...
For Ryan, you mean?
I'm sorry, yeah, for Ryan, excuse me, well done, yeah. Will we see drivers dipping into the 241s this race, do you think?
Well, maybe, but the more interesting is a guy who is on number 2 on the quali grid, Peter Jones.
Yep, Peter Jones making a return here, putting himself currently ahead of Max Newt 7, Ryan Skywalker's championship rival. And that's a great showing for Peter Jones, who's currently taking the Shelby for a spin. Max Newt 7 also taking the Shelby for a spin. It seems like every driver I cut to is backwards at the minute. We'll go to Henry Comsey and see what he's doing. He's also taking the Shelby for a spin. What is going on with these drivers? Anyway,
Like,
nonetheless,
I like the chat.
yeah, the chat.
Someone just in the chat. Imagine the nuts you need to drive this in real life.
I'm telling you, these cars must be crazy to drive in real life. This circuit even crazier. But that does conclude qualifying. I think the last of the drivers are going to start to come across the line shortly. And, well, this is a jumbled up grid indeed. Of course, with these long laps, this unfamiliar circuit, it throws the kind of typical championship order quite far out of whack. So currently, we've got Ryan Skywalker holding on to pole position with a 2:42.032. I really don't see anyone improving on that lap time. That's a blistering lap from the South African driver. And then, like Spitzlam pointed out there, Peter Jones with a flying lap up into second position to start the first race and putting himself between Ryan Skywalker and Max Nuke 7. That's a dangerous place for Peter Jones to be sandwiched in. Henry Comsey goes fourth fastest with that lap that we saw. Alexander Gray, with a fifth fastest lap time, puts himself ahead of his Swedish brethren, Michelle Rodriguez, who's currently on the grass. Michelle Rodriguez, of course, in sixth. Smells Like We in seventh. Alex Heller in eighth. And then Unados in ninth. That's a random, but looks to be putting in a, well, not a very good lap time at all. 10 seconds off the pace. And then the rest of the drivers, including Keith Holt, including Tiago Teixeira, have not set a valid lap time. So this is going to be very interesting for the start of the first race as they start to line up on the grid. Peter Jones is in the pits. No, he's not. He's out of the pits now. And wow, look at this grid. This is awesome. They're 3 wide.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
That is very cool indeed. I'm not sure what's happened to the grid, but that does not seem to be the right order. Does it?
No, it doesn't. No. AC. What should I say?
Yes, I would like to say more. Oh no, hold on. I think I'm just not seeing the drivers.
Right. It's right
okay.
now.
It's okay. The drivers are just named incorrectly. But look at that starting grid there. They're 3 wide. Like, there's no distance between the pair of them. Max Nuke 7 on the closest to your screen here. Peter Jones in the middle. And Ryan Skywalker on the outside. This is going to be absolutely ballistic on the start. If either of those drivers get a touch of oversteer setting off, they're going to be going into each other, and this is going to cause absolute chaos for every single driver behind. This 1966 layout is just crazy. I don't know what to expect here.
I don't know as well.
Well,
everyone hits
you best know, Spitzlam, because I'm going to come to you, and you know it's coming. Who's going to be in the lead by the Cobra Grande? Peter Jones.
Peter.
You do this every time. You always back Peter, and then he crashes. Have you got something against him?
No. Oh, wait. Yes, he has the same last name as Tom.
He does. He does. He's a Tom Jones. He's a Tom Jones, not imposter. It's like Tom Jones' long-lost cousin. No, but this is going to be very, very interesting for these drivers. Ryan Skywalker on the right, Peter Jones in the middle, and then it's Max Nuke 7 on the left for the start of this race, and then you're 2 drivers behind, 3 drivers behind that, 2 drivers behind that. This is... I don't know what to expect here. Not long to go till the race starts now, though. 35 seconds on the clock before the red lights do come on for the drivers. I'm trying to find a good camera angle to cover this start with, but honestly...
There is none.
Chaos is going to be the watchword of the day, isn't it?
Yeah. But if you look at the static, you get a good... off the starting line.
We'll see from this camera point who gets the best start off the first line, who gets the best start off the second line, and we'll see any chaos that goes on behind it. In front of the grandstand, a packed grandstand here in 1966. The engine does rise, 6 red lights go on, 6 red lights go out, and away we go. And Peter Jones definitely got the best start of the 3 there, but Ryan Skywalker, he's got some torque there. He's powering down the straight, and he's well into the lead off the line. Peter Jones must have missed a gear or something there off the line, because he started faster than Max and Ryan. There's 2 drivers in the wall in the background there. We'll find out who that one is in a moment, but for now, Ryan Skywalker leading them away ahead of Max Nuke 7 on the inside. And Max Nuke 7 up the inside of Ryan Skywalker. Can he make the move stick? No, he can't. He had a sniff up the inside there. Could have just been the camera angle, but he is sticking into second position for now. Peter Jones in third, Alexander Gray in fourth. Smells Like We in fifth, and then the rest of the drivers do seem to filter through. Do you know who that was involved in that accident off the start line?
It was Michelle Rodriguez and Alex Heller, seems like.
Goodness
no, Alex
gracious.
Heller is winning right now.
Oh my goodness. Le Bandit reappears in the form of Alex Heller, Alexander Gray getting a good start
Henry's
there
in
in
the
fourth
wall.
position. Henry
Henry's in the
Comsey.
wall.
Henry Comsey,
Anymore.
the Iceman, is in the wall. He's dropped all the way down to 10th position. He's going to have to battle his way back through. But meanwhile, up at the front of the pack, Peter Jones managed to find a way past Max 07 in towards the Lesmos, and they're going side by side down towards Ascari now, but Peter Jones managed to keep a nose ahead for now. Alexander Gray filtering in just behind Max 07, and a little bit further behind them, it smells like we in 5th position. They're 2 by 2 behind them as they go down the back straight now. Peter Jones getting attacked by Alexander Gray. Max 07, where's he gone? He's up in the lead. No, he's not. He's in 2nd position. My timing tower is confusing me. He was just hitting behind Ryan Skywalker. Ryan Skywalker still leading, to be clear. He's still leading. Max 07 drifting around the Parabolica, battling with Peter Jones. They're side by side coming on the Parabolica. Who's going to get the most traction down? It looks like it's going to be Max 07, but he's going to be stuck on the outside line for the curve north, but that's not going to matter because this is such a curved corner. In fact, having the higher line might work well as we come into the kind of NASCAR section here. Hold your line, you're clear. Peter Jones down the inside of Max 07 to the curve north. They're side by side going around the bank corner, but it looks like Peter Jones going to hold onto that 2nd position for now. He's got a little bit of an oversteer coming through the corner, and Alexander Gray comes down the pair of them, and they're 3 wide around the curve north, and then who's that coming out on top? It's Alexander Gray. Where did that speed come from? He managed to take the pair of them out of the curve north. My cars are lagging all over the place, but it looks like they're still going 3 wide as they come down into the curve sud. Who's going to come out on top here? Max 07 got bullied onto the grass there. Alexander Gray holding the high line, Max 07 holding behind whilst Peter Jones takes the low line, and they're powering round the bank corner. Max 07 trying to get a little bit of slipstream, a little bit of overspeed on the pair of the drivers as he takes the high line. Alexander Gray takes the middle, and they're still 3 wide coming down the start-finish strip. This is excellent racing, isn't it?
I don't know what to say. It's the most NASCAR thing we see after the 59 races we had.
It's simply amazing. There's still 3 wide going down the start finish straight into the curve. Oh, and Alexander Gray has been bullied onto the grass. There he comes back on just in front of Max 07, but none of the drivers collect each other as they break going into the Curva Grande. Peter Jones holding on to 2nd position right now ahead of Alexander Gray and Max 07. Peter Jones also has some fans in the chat, which is amazing to see. As he battles for 2nd position with Alexander Gray and Max 07. And in amongst all this, has there been anything else going on that I've missed, Spitzler? Who's that? Oh, it's Ryan Skywalker with the lockup. Yeah, is there anything else going on, Spitzler?
Not much.
Oh, Peter Jones is round! Peter Jones has gone round! Oh no! He got a little bit of oversteer out the Lesmos, and he got collected by Alexander Gray, and he's doing absolutely fantastically here to rejoin safely in the middle of the Lesmos there. But Peter Jones now down into 9th position from 2nd. Oh, that's absolute devastation for Peter there. The Peter Jones fan club is in absolute disarray. And that does leave Max and Alexander Gray to battle it out.
Battle for 5th and battle for 12th.
This battle for 5th looks a little bit tasty, doesn't it? Who's this going side by side? Yes. It looks like it's Keith Holt and Diogo Texera, 2 notorious long-running midfield drivers in the Track Time Community Race Series, and they're going side by side down towards the Parabolic. Who's that in the gravel? Who's that in the gravel? It's Alexander Gray. Alexander Gray is in the gravel
and
at the Parabolic.
Diego as well.
Diogo Texera is in the gravel.
He just went straight.
Diogo Texera just carries straight on. Goes
just
straight
went
to the
straight.
the Parabolica.
I just see on my screen. He just went straight. What?
He rejoins in 9th position with a battered and bruised Shelby Cobra. Fortunately, he's very near the pit lane, so he's going to be able to come into the pits and fix that car up if he so pleases, but it doesn't look like he's going to choose to this time. And that does mean that Henry Comsey's going to have a run on him out of the Parabolic. Henry Comsey's got all the overspeed here and all the slipstream and all the power to go into the Curva Nord with 9th position in hand, and that does move Peter Jones and everyone ahead of him up 1 position. Peter Jones now in 8th position as he fell down the order after an incident in the Lesmos. Keith can't get away from the battles, can he? He's back in a battle with Alexander Gray. Alexander Gray must have had a bit of a slowdown there because Keith has really come up onto the back of him. Diogo Texera's got himself past Henry Comsey again coming out of the curve of sud. He must have had a decent amount of overspeed coming through the banked corner, and they're going down the back straight now, side by side still. There's absolutely nothing to separate these 2 drivers. Matt Kinder has got past Monkey Mind because Monkey Mind is in the wall. Monkey Mind rejoining the circuit. He's really struggling there with the bank corners. It just shows how steep them bank corners are. And he's going to rejoin the circuit. Henry Comsey on the low line. Is he going to get in the way of these two drivers battling away? Still Texera and Henry Comsey. Still Texera takes the high line. Henry Comsey does so too, and they both get past Monkey Man without too much problem. 8th and 9th battling away. Still Keith Holt still battling away with Alexander Gracie coming towards the Curva Grande. And this is much more action than I expected, isn't there, Spitzler?
It is a little bit too much. Too much action. Henry comes in overtaken for 8th place right now, battling with Diego Texera. Almost side by side. Everybody is almost side by side. These cars can. I don't know.
These cars really can race, can't they?
A lot. I'm
Yes.
surprised.
I'm very surprised.
I'm at a loss of words.
yeah, definitely. Diego Texera there with a little bit of oversteer at the Curva Grande. He's dropped back from Henry Comsey now. He's 1.5 seconds behind, and it looks like Henry Comsey is going to clear off into the distance with this custom setup of his own. Let's have a look what else is going on the track. It's Peter Jones back in the action. Peter Jones fan club is out in 4th still, and Peter Jones battling away for 6th position. He's on a recovery charge back up towards 2nd. He's up alongside Matt Kinder as he comes through Ascari. They're side by side, but Peter Jones does the wise thing and backs out a little bit there to allow Kinder to stay ahead as they come down towards the Parabolica, and he's going to make the move somewhere else. He's going to line it up, potentially under braking into the Parabolica. They go down the Parabolica. Peter Jones knocking into the slipstream there, breaking deep into the Parabolica, goes side by side with Matt Kinder. Matt Kinder taking a compromised line. It looks like Peter Jones is definitely going to have the better traction out of the corner, and he does indeed. Look at the overspeed that he's got on Matt ahead of him, and they're coming down the start-finish straight along, sorry, the pit straight it is. The setup is locked for the race, yeah. It's Henry Comsey designs the setups each week. Notorious driver in the, and that's Trey Round doing donuts at the side of the track. Peter Jones down the inside of Matt Kinder into the curve and all. What a move from Peter Jones. That is a picture perfect move, and that's exactly how you make an overtake happen here at the Monza 1966 layout, isn't it?
I didn't see it. So I cannot.
Well, you might see it, another return as Matt Kinder comes back at Peter Jones now. They're going side by side down the back straight now towards the Curva Sud, and Matt Kinder seems to have the inside line and a little bit of oversteer on overspeed on Peter Jones here. Alexander Gray has got himself up ahead of Smells Like We. They're going side by side around the Curva Sud right now, and we'll jump back to Peter Jones, who's still going side by side with Matt Kinder. We've got two decent battles, both here at a similar part of the circuit, and Peter Jones, with the high line, is going to potentially have a little bit more speed off the corner. He is, and he gets himself ahead of Matt Kinder for the long run down to the Curva Grande, but Matt Kinder is going to slip into the slipstream and see if he can make any moves happen. Jumping back to the front because Smells Like We and Alexander Gray are still side by side. The Swedish Meatball up into the podium positions, battling away with Smells Like. And they're breaking deep into the Curva Grande here. Smells Like We settling for 4th, but keeping onto the outside line, trying to keep the traction going, keep that speed up, minimum speed up, which is key at this circuit. And he stays side by side with Alexander Gray. This is a great battle between two midfield drivers here as they go round in towards the first Lesmo. Alexander Gray has the inside line, but Smells Like We moves over to cover him and holds onto that 3rd position for a little while longer. Alexander Gray with the inside line, though, does get a power down and gets himself ahead of Smells Like We. This is great racing from the two drivers here. Out of Lesmo 2 they go. Line astern, Smells Like We right underneath Alexander Gray's exhaust here, down towards Ascari, and then jumping behind them, Peter Jones has managed to assert himself rather in 6th position ahead of Matt Kinder, and that's a nice clean move for Peter Jones there.
Michel kind of struggling in this car, being 11th and then on the main straight. Now he's 14th.
He's got a battered and bruised car, hasn't he?
Not that much.
Yeah, well,
That's the point. It's not.
Michel Rodriguez going to prove that practice makes perfect. Michel Rodriguez didn't practice this week.
He has broken suspension.
He does indeed. Alex Heller goes off into the first Lesmo. He's going to rejoin the circuit. He does rejoin the circuit. He crashed into Unados there. And that's a rough move from Alex Heller there. Michel Rodriguez collects him on the exit of the corner. And that is just some terrible, terrible timing from Alex Heller there. As he got on the grass, tried to brake, but there's absolutely no traction when you get onto the grass here. And he was just a passenger as he slid into Unados on the exit of the corner. And that is a real shame coming into Lesmo 1. Another accident.
Peter Jones, I'm sorry but Peter Jones over to Keith.
Where did
and we didn't know this at all.
Where did that come from? Peter Jones
It's flying.
He is he's absolutely flying in this car at this circuit on the recovery charge of a lifetime here. Peter Jones in 5th position now. He's got himself up ahead of Keith Holt in towards the curve of Nord, but it looks like Keith Holt's going to fight back. Matt Kingder still within reach of capitalising on any chaos here, but Keith Holt is up the inside of Peter Jones down towards the curve of Sud, and he's going to be well ahead before the curve of Sud even begins. Look how much the slipstream affects these cars as Peter Jones once again gets into the slipstream of the driver ahead, has a little bit of a speed, get onto the high line around the curve corner here and trying to power out of the corner and make the move stick down towards the curve of Grande. He gets up alongside, he gets well alongside Keith Holt, and he's through on the Austrian driver there on the inside of him, and they're going down towards the curve of Grande, and Smells Like Wheat isn't a whole way away. Peter Jones's recovery charge is looking very impressive, but he's still side by side with Keith Holt, and we can't discount Keith quite yet because we know what a decent driver Keith is, and Keith is up into 5th position, but Peter Jones has the inside line for the curve of Grande, and that's going to be the more beneficial line, and he's going to hold on to that 5th position. And I've spoke too much, Spitslam. Give us some analysis of this battle.
And with I don't know, some analysis. Peter Jones giving really good lines for coming to the Lesmos 1, break into the 2nd gear, taking the outside line. Keith Holt on the inside, still can't do nothing, coming to the 2nd Lesmo, a little bit straight before it. Again, still keeping it in 2nd gear, trying not to slide to the rear out. Taking a great apex by Peter Jones. Keith cannot do nothing about it, and that's the battle defeated.
That does seem to be the battle just about diffused, doesn't it? Peter Jones well ahead now of Keith Holt, and he's hunting down Smells Like Wheat for that 4th place position. He's trying to fight his way back onto the podium, but with only 2.5 minutes left of this race, that might be a little bit out of reach, but in the reverse grid, he's set for a decent result, surely, as the driver comes sliding out of Ascari there. What else is going on circuit? Let's take a look down the order. Monkey Mind seems to be side by side with Uli R. These two drivers battling over the final points position on track, coming round the curve of Grande up towards the Lesmos. Monkey Mind is going to have the inside line. Uliar is going to have to stick to the outside, and Uliar is going to have to concede that position. But he's going to come for a little look back at Monkey Mind. Monkey Mind holds onto the car and powers around the corner. Uli settling for 11th position. Indeed, he will have to, because he's just had an oversteer and sent it into the wall. That diffuses that battle right there. Let's jump back to Peter Jones, because he's once again battling. Where is Peter Jones finding the speed? He's making a move up the inside. It Smells Like Wheat, but Smells Like Wheat's got the high line for this curve of Nord here. But Peter Jones, nearly collects Smells Like Wheat round the curve of Nord. These two drivers doing very well to battle side by side down the start finish. Back straight they go, excuse me. I'm getting so lost on the circuit. Who's going to come out on top out of this corner, Splitslam?
Oh, who is going to be on top? It will definitely be Smells Like Wheat on top of the road. He goes really high. Then Peter Jones keeping a great line, going high. Which is where Smells Like Wheat gets the high position. Maybe he's getting to more speed like that because of gravity. I don't know. Again, side by side, he has so much speed. It's definitely with the gravity. And they are side by side almost again. The slipstream on these cars is unpredictable.
I have to think that Peter Jones must be experiencing some NASCAR racing, because he's getting that high line down to a T. He made the move on Smells Like Wheat. He cut to the high line, got the gravity behind him, and then powered out of the corner with more speed. But he kind of fell apart coming round into the curve of Grande. He's going to hold on to that 4th position just ahead of Smells Like Wheat, and that's great driving from Peter Jones. Alex Heller rejoining the circuit in 14th position there. He's slightly off the circuit, coming up towards the first Lesmo. And Peter Jones is holding on to this 4th position on his recovery charge. Breaking deep into Lesmo 1. Smells Like Wheat settling the 5th position right now. He's not got the answers quite yet as they come around the top of the circuit to the highest point of the circuit. Round Lesmo 2 down the long straight again towards Ascari once more. Keith Holt in the background of shot, looking to capitalise on any chaos that's happening ahead of him. But once again, it looks like Peter Jones has just overtaken and dispatched of the driver ahead of him. This is incredible driving from Peter Jones, isn't it?
It's really good. We never seen someone race like this, or even Peter never raced like this. So it's something we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, it's great to see, isn't it? Especially when there's not a lot else going on. Thank you, Peter Jones, for providing us with some action, because the rest of the drivers are just kind of settling into the groove of things. Ryan Skywalker, coming into this race, told me, I'm not going to be able to battle Max 7 with this setup. This setup isn't very good. And yet, He's had no stream coverage because he's 15 seconds down the road. He's up in the lead
16.
of this race. Yeah, make that 16 rather. He is in the lead of this race with a commanding lead ahead of second position of 16 seconds. There's surely no way he can throw this away now as he comes round. Whereabouts are we on the circuit? On the back straight here for Ryan Skywalker. He's going to come round to complete this penultimate lap, and we'll see how he goes on the final lap next time round. Still got about 3 minutes left to race.
Peter is almost smelling the Swedish meatball right now. But Alex is going for the fin. I don't know what.
The flying
what are
fin.
fins famous?
I don't know.
Yeah, the flying.
Saunas and coffee.
So, he's going for this. No, we can't.
No, but exactly. Well, very well point out there. Alexander Gray getting very close to Max Newt 7 now. He's got this gap down underneath a second. Max Newt 7 sticking to a more conventional line round the curve and stood there onto the start-finish straight. Alexander Gray is nip and tuck right underneath Max Newt 7, and he's making use of all that slipstream. And here he comes, Alexander Gray, with a few extra miles an hour, gets himself alongside, gets himself past Max Newt 7, and dispatches of the Finnish driver up towards the Curva Grande. He's up into second position. We'll see how long he can hold on to this one for, because we know that a charging Max Newt 7 is not the kind of person that you want to have behind you. Max Newt 7, let's jump on board with him and watch as he battles with Alexander Gray. He gets a decent amount of power coming out of the Curva Grande, and they're going to go full throttle up towards Lesmo 1. Round the Della Roggio corner, they're going to go side by side in towards the Lesmos. Max Newt 7 breaks deep. Whoa, look at the corrections that Max Newt 7 has to do under braking so he doesn't crash into Alexander Gray, and that's fantastic car control from Max Newt 7. Alexander Gray with a little bit of oversteer, but Max Newt 7 is in the barrier, and they both lose out a little bit coming through Lesmo 1. Both these drivers on the absolute limits of the grip, coming side by side for second and third position. Down the hill once again underneath the oval they go down towards Ascari, and this is a battle that's really hotting up. And if you look in the mirrors, who do you see? It's Peter Jones still on scene, but Peter Jones has got other things to worry about. He's got Smells Like We behind him, and he's not a whole load behind him. As you can see, Smells Like We just about a second down the road, and we'll jump back towards that battle between Max Newt 7 and Alexander Gray, because it's once again hotting up. Max Newt 7 is alongside Alexander Gray, and the gap is underneath 1/100th of a second. Alexander Gray is going to have the outside line for the parabolic. He's going to lock up his brakes. Max Newt 7 is going to look to switch to the inside. He's going to try and find a little bit of traction on the exit of the corner here, get the foot down and power onto the pit straight here. Where's Ryan Skywalker on the track? He's in the Curva Nord. He's not got anything to worry about. 17 seconds up the road as these drivers battle behind him. Max Newt 7 switches to the inside line. Alexander Gray holding the outside line for the Curva Nord. And these two drivers still going at it, aren't they?
They still are. And actually, right now, even going side by side on the Curva Nord, which I don't know who said it. It was maybe Michelle Rodriguez that if someone did that, they would be flying into space.
That's what Michelle Rodriguez thought, but shows what he knows because he's down in 11th position as these two drivers are able to battle it out. I'm going to quickly jump back to the lead because 17 seconds up the road, here's Ryan Skywalker coming down the start, finish straight to finish his lap. Michelle Rodriguez is waiting to finish his race as soon as possible. He's not going to score any points this time, but one man who's going to score maximum points here with the fastest lap and a race win is Ryan Skywalker, winning race 1. And I'm going to jump back to this battle because it's turning out to be very epic. Side by side, Max Newt 7 versus Alexander Gray. It's the battle of the Vikings. Who's going to finish in front as Alexander Gray pushes Max Newt 7 off the track, and Max Newt 7 goes into the wall on the start finish straight. He spins down the start finish straight and he crosses the line in third position under controversial circumstances. Alexander Gray finishes in second position, and goodness gracious me, it's a good job these hay bales are made of concrete, or else Max Newt 7 would have definitely flipped the car there. A charging Peter Jones finishes in 4th position. Smells Like We settles for 5th position, unable to make that position back on Peter Jones. Keith Holt in 6th position. Henry Comsey finishes in 7th after he dropped down the order with an incident early on in the race. Diogo Teixeira finally crosses the line. The Portuguese bandit, El Bandito, if you will, in 8th position. And then Unados, after getting taken out by Alex Heller, has managed to recover to 9th position. A great finish for the brand new Track Titan driver here. Not seen him before, but hopefully he'll make a return. And, well, the last few drivers are coming across the line. We've got a little bit of analysis to go over. And let's have a look at the chat. Hugh Jass was going to join, but his power supply is burnt out. Oh, Hugh, that is terrible news, mate. Hopefully you're able to get that one fixed as soon as possible, and we can see you back here next week. And Mike, great to see you in here. Hopefully we'll see you next week. We've got an interesting one next week. I'm not sure what the winner is going to be.
Everybody knows it's the Red Bull X 2010.
Listen, I'm not sure.
Turbo drink.
I'm not convinced.
Everybody voted for it, and it's the only it's the only thing people are talking about.
Well, hopefully it's not, because I don't want to stream a Nürburgring race. Nonetheless, let's get ready to go racing again. For the second race here, we've got 2 minutes to debrief and go over what to expect in this race. But what a race that was. A great charge from Peter Jones, back from 10th all the way up to 4th. Ryan Skywalker taking a commanding lead, not throwing it away at all. Max Newt 7 and Alexander Gray going side by side over the line. And Alexander Gray pushing a little bit too hard. Alexander Gray taking home second position, but we'll see if that is due to change when the marshals take a look at it after the race. Any other talking points before we go into this race, Spitzlam?
Not much, just people to calm down in the race chat if somebody from the races wouldn't hear, because the thing, I cannot read that. I'm not sure if I can read it.
Well, there's a little bit of chaos going on in the race chat. You can't see it on the stream, but the drivers airing their grievances. Diogo Teixeira explaining why he went off the parabolica. He expected there to be a banked corner there. He's got a little bit lost on track, I think, and just carried straight into the gravel.
That's right, I was expecting to find a bank corner, only to find the parabolica runoff. Yeah, that will be memed.
Interesting, Diogo.
Like when I see them again, with Diego.
It's great to see the chat on YouTube well, lighting up as well with some support. Peter Jones, Mad Bull up in the chat, Hugh Jass and Mike O'Han also in the chat. Peter Jones making an appearance in the chat. Hello, Peter. Get ready to race.
What are you doing here?
What are you doing
got
here?
A race to do.
You got a race to race in, man. You got 40 seconds. You can hear the engines, the noise of the cars beeping the horns, revving their engines, and it's an all red front row. Have you noticed that? Isn't that lovely?
Yes. So it actually worked.
Yeah, it did kind of work, which means that everyone on the front row is a bandit, and we will expect some chaos off the line, I am sure. Monkey Mind and Diogo Teixeira and Unidos. Is it Unidos? Yes, it is. Unidos, sure. Monkey Mind and Diogo Teixeira all starting on the front row of the grid. We'll see how this one goes. 6 red lights go on for the drivers to the left on the grid. 17 drivers out there. The right lights go out, and it's a mixed start from the front row. It looks like Monkey Man got a decent start. Keith Hall's banging off. Oh, and Keith Hall's in the middle of a sandwich.
It's here.
Drivers sidewise, and there is already chaos over the line here. Max Newt 7's managed to get away with it. Peter Jones storming into the lead. Peter Jones once again is flying off into the distance. I can't get any of the drivers on camera here. Diogo Teixeira, there's chaos. There's absolute chaos. Alex Heller smells like weed. Keith Hall all involved. Everyone is involved. But one man who isn't is the charging Peter Jones. He was in the chat chatting away just a few seconds ago, and here he is in first position. Max Newt 7 also somehow managed to navigate all the chaos there and is up in second position, while Unidos from the front row managed to get a blistering start, avoided all the chaos, and he's in third now into the wall, allowing Henry Comsey to move through on the Spanish driver there. I say Spanish. He seems Spanish, would call himself Uno Dos. Anyway, Diogo Teixeira there in 6th position. Wojtik in 7th. And then Ryan Skywalker, the South African driver, starting right from the back of the grid, has managed to get all the way through this chaos and up into 8th position. And he's going to be hunting down Wojtik. He's trying to find a way past him, and oh my goodness me, Ryan Skywalker nearly gets sent into a spin by Wojtik. You know what they say, spins breed spins, safety cars breed safety cars. And, well, it just goes to prove, just there as we saw Ryan Skywalker managing to avoid more chaos. Wow, trying to catch my breath here. Let's have a look at some of the other battles that are going on. Oh, there's one coming right into screen. Smells Like We, Monkey Mind, Wojtik and Magic, all going side by side through the Ascari corner here, down the back straight. Smells Like We has managed to come out on top of all these drivers here. 8th place is his, while Monkey Mind and Wojtik go side by side down the back straight towards the Parabolica. It looks like Monkey Mind's going to have an inside line, and he might even try a lunge up the inside of Smells Like We, because he's got a lot of overspeed now. He's breaking deep in towards the Parabolica. These two drivers, managed to avoid the chaos. There's another driver in the gravel. That's Wojtik and Magic, also both going into the gravel. 2 new drivers there, while Keith Holt and Alexander Gray move through on the pair of them. And then Diogo Teixeira and Uno Dos. It's the Iberian battle here, coming around the Curva Nord, off the banking. Now, Uno Dos with the top line, Diogo Teixeira with the bottom line, coming onto the back straight. Is it the back straight? It is the back straight. These are going side by side, and now Diogo Teixeira up underneath Uno Dos's exhaust here. He's looking for some slipstream. He's looking for a way through. Uno Dos gets a little bit of encouragement, goes onto the grass, but he holds on to 5th position for now. But he's going to have the inside line for the Curva Nord. Diogo Teixeira into the wall. Diogo Teixeira is going round, and he's into the gravel, and he's sideways on the Curva Nord, and he's managing to spin out just off track there. He's going to rejoin the race in 6th position, now 7th as Ryan Skywalker moves through on him. But that's just an absolutely unforced error from Diogo Teixeira there. He just went too high, didn't he?
Yeah, he was too high. Yes, I'm going to end it like that.
Well, okay, that's it. Factual statement.
He was high.
Factual statement from Spitzlam. He was high. Monkey Man managed to move through Alexander Gray there through the Curva Nord, Curva Sud, excuse me, and holding on to that 10th position now as Alexander Gray drops a little bit further back from him. And I assume that the leaderboard is right and the driver names is incorrect, as Magic has a massive amount of overspeed on Alexander Gray. Where has this come from? Magic up into 11th position here, ahead, 10th position ahead of Alexander Gray, and he's going to break into the Curva Grande and hold on to that position for now. Which driver is missing? Why is my driver
Michelle
names...
Rodriguez.
Where's Michelle Rodriguez?
He's the NF. And that's Magic spun out in the Curva Grande.
As I came away from him, he manages to spin out on the exit of the Curva Grande there. Keith Holtz managed to get himself up past Diogo Teixeira. Oh, but Diogo Teixeira's back up the inside and gives Keith some encouragement into the Armco barrier. Fortunately, Keith rejoins without too much of an issue there. Peter Jones gets a track cutting warning, so he best watch his track limits so he doesn't incur the wrath of the stewards post-race. Keith, though, back up into 7th position ahead of Diogo Teixeira, and this is about the closest battle on track, isn't it? As we look back to Alex Heller and Magic.
Magic and Alex Heller.
They are 2 bandits going side by side as Magic goes around and collects Alex Heller. No!
Nice spin.
It's
Alex
Le Bandit and El Bantini taking each other out there, going underneath the bridge now. Alex Heller down in 11th position and well and truly in the mud. And that's about all the racing that's going to happen for now. We'll see how these battles develop. There's a backmarker getting involved with Peter Jones.
Is gaining on Diogo Teixeira, and Diego is going into the pits.
Ah yes, Diogo into the pits. Wonder what that's for. Wonder why he's chose to go into the pits there. But he has retired.
And Alex as well.
Does Alexander Gray. I'm not sure whether this is for repairs.
Seems like it.
Very interesting.
But Alex doesn't have that much damage, and Diego doesn't have any visible damage as well.
Very interesting.
No, wait, Diego has that damage. We saw that on camera. Alex.
Oh, Henry Comsey collects a back marker. Henry Comsey has been collected by a back marker on the start-finish straight. He rejoins the race. Sorry, Spitzlam. That was just a bit of chaos that literally just occurred on the screen there. The back marker getting involved. Aprian getting involved in the battle for 3rd place, and Uno Dos has arrived on the scene. We'll see if he can catch up to Henry Comsey and take home a decent points haul for himself, but Henry, very unfortunate there to get caught up with the back marker. He was battling with Max Newt 7, and well, we'll see how this one develops. But as you were saying, Spitzlam, Diogo Teixeira with damage after that crash.
And Alex, we don't know.
Alex just into the pits because he feels like it. Maybe he's thirsty.
Thirsty, just a little drink.
Just a little drink. Speaking of thirsty,
They
there's
go
one
out
man
of it.
thirsty for positions. Do you like that transition? Ryan Skywalker down in 5th position currently. He's looking to make up one more position on Uno Dos, the new driver on the block here. And well, hopefully we see Uno Dos return because he's been racing fairly well. That being said,
And
he just
as you
goes
say
into
that-
a wall.
He's-
Well, that makes it a little bit easier for Ryan Skywalker, who moves swiftly through on Uno Dos in the West liveried Shelby. And, well, that's a nice, easy one for the Ryan Skywalker there. He's going to be hunting down Henry Comsey now, heading through Ascari. Let's jump on board with Henry Comsey and see if he's battling any damage.
Doesn't seem like it.
No noticeable
Yep,
handling damage. Driving very straight as he comes in towards the Parabolica. We'll see how his car seems to handle normal. So despite going into the wall, Henry Comsey manages to get away without a scrape, and he's going to have to do this fight all by himself and keep Ryan Skywalker well at bay of his own accord.
Oh, Magic DNF.
Magic is disconnected from the server. El Banditini has retired and will be seen no more. As we watch the battles form, it's interesting at this circuit with the slipstream effect and, well, just how much chaos has been bred at this circuit. These battles just appear out of nowhere, don't they? We think nothing's happening, and then all of a sudden, there's...
Boom, a battle.
Boom, a battle. Exactly like that. It's very interesting, and, well, it means that we have to keep on our toes just to keep ourselves, well, aware.
Under stress, crashing in the Curva de Norte.
Oh, Uno Dos, that's a shame there for the driver in 7th position currently. He's going to potentially drop down another position behind Monkey Mind, who's coming around the Curva Nord right now.
That's what we're talking about.
On Uno Dos. And yeah, just as I give him some praise, he throws it back in my face. This is typical, isn't it? That being
They
said,
don't like you.
Honestly, every time. He rejoins the circuit a little bit shakily, and he's onto the back straight now, hoping to get his car a little bit more straight. And, well, he's thrown a decent point scoring position away of his own accord there, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Ryan Skywalker has just pumped in his fastest lap of the race, and I believe the fastest lap full stop. Yes, he has. 2:43.216. That's the fastest lap of anyone this race. So he's on the hunt for Henry Comsey. He wants that third position taken away from him if he's ever going to keep up this championship fight with Max Newt 7, who's currently sat in 2nd position.
Undas with damage coming into the pits. Wait, how tough? Oh, yeah, now I know how. Wait. Yeah, he just used the into the pits button. Because there is no way he was on Curva de Norte. So there's no way he could have gone into the pits without driving a lap.
He will have returned to the pits via teleportation, which does mean he'll incur, I think, a penalty for that as well. So
yeah,
he'll be sat in the pits for
like
a little while.
60-second penalty.
Yeah, very interesting. We'll see if he manages to come out ahead of Alexander Gray or Dugo Texera, and if he can get himself back up into the point scoring positions. Ryan Skywalker is closing the gap on Henry Comsey for 3rd position. The gap now sitting at just underneath 2 seconds. Ryan Skywalker trying to get all the power he possibly can out of the Parabolica. Down the pit straight he comes. Henry Comsey just ahead of him in the rain drip drop blue livery. And he's holding his line fairly well, and he's doing his best to hold the gap, but with 4 minutes 40 seconds left, it seems like it's just a matter of time before Ryan Skywalker fights his way past, isn't it?
Yeah, that's basically 3 laps left.
It'll be very interesting to see if Henry Comsey can hold him off for that amount of time. And, well, let's jump up to the lead battle as well, because Peter Jones, favourite of the day, is still leading this race, but only just. Because Max Newt 7 is well and truly keeping him honest. He's keeping this gap well under 2 seconds, and with the slipstream effect that these cars are having at this circuit, it could be only a matter of time before Max Newt 7 manages to find himself well up and engaged in a battle with Peter Jones. Let's jump on board with Max Newt 7 and see if we can see the gap coming down. Max Newt 7 puts in his fastest lap of the race, 2:43.168, and that's the fastest lap of anyone. Peter Jones puts in a 2:43.256, so he's also lapping at a very, very fast pace. A pole a kind of a decent lead pace, and that's without slipstream for Peter Jones as well. So just goes to show what a great job he's doing out of the lead of this race, but with the effect that slipstream is having on these cars. 1.5 seconds between these two. Max Newt is going to be finding seconds and seconds on Peter Jones, isn't he?
Oh, well, he is, but Ryan gain on Henrik Comsey.
Let's have a look at what he's doing. Thank you for picking that up, because I would have missed it. There we go. Excuse me for the silence. Had to have a cough. Ryan Skywalker finding time on Henry Comsey. This gap has come well down. Ryan Skywalker through Les Mode 2. Battling the car. Look at the steering input of Ryan Skywalker. He's going left, right, just trying to find any amount of grip he can in this car. Henry Comsey trying to defend from Ryan Skywalker. He moves to the outside for Ascari to try and get the best line he possibly can, but Ryan Skywalker looks to the inside. They're well alongside before Ascari. There's a little bit of a touch between the two drivers. Henry Comsey gets pushed out wide, but both drivers manage to keep it on the black stuff, and they're going to go well a line astern down the back straight. Oh, Ryan Skywalker got a little bit too close for comfort there, and as he moved out to try and take Henry Comsey on another take, he just clipped the back of him, and it's very fortunate neither of those two drivers went round there, isn't it?
Oh, it's very fortunate.
With the way these cars are, how oversteery they are, just a little bit of a clip could be enough. There's some wheel spin in the pits, and there's an overtake on screen. Ryan Skywalker up past Henry Comsey, down the pit straight they go. Henry Comsey is going to slip underneath Ryan Skywalker, and he's going to get the overspeed to get onto the high line for the Curva Nord. Ryan Skywalker on the low line, Henry Comsey on the high line. Surely is going to get a bit more speed than Ryan Skywalker, just thanks to gravity. But they power around, top gear, full throttle, round the Curva Nord, onto the back straight, and they're still side by side. This is incredible driving from the pair of them. Ryan Skywalker managing to hold onto this position. Not anymore. Henry Comsey is through. Ryan Skywalker is through. There's absolutely nothing to separate these two drivers. Literally nothing at all. There's 0.001 between them. Henry Comsey takes the Henry Comsey takes the high line once again. Ryan Skywalker sticking to the low line once again. And they're going to come onto the start-finish straight. And who's going to come out on top? Who's going to have the best traction out of the corner? I still can't tell. Henry Comsey gets the power down. He gets himself ahead of Ryan Skywalker. But we'll see if Ryan Skywalker can close the gap to Henry Comsey. We'll go on board with him now as he gains a little bit on Henry Comsey. He loses a bit there, but a bit of Henry Comsey. These two are locked at the horns. And there's absolutely nothing to split them as they come down into the Curva Grande. They're still side by side. This has been a battle that's been going on for the last minute. Ryan Skywalker is through on Henry Comsey for now. But Henry Comsey brakes a little bit earlier, tries to get the switch back, and does. Gets up the inside of Ryan Skywalker. There's a back marker in the track. Oh, and he clips Henry Comsey, and Ryan Skywalker goes off as well. Ryan Skywalker in the grass, Henry Comsey in the wall. The back marker getting involved once again. It's Aprian, and that surely is going to warrant a kick from the server, unfortunately. But Henry Comsey, wow, that's confused that battle. It was Aprian.
Oh, of course.
Unfortunately, we'll be taking no further part in this race.
If it was me, I would get away with it. If
it was Spit Slam, it would be Spit Slaminator. But because it's a random, he's gone. Henry Comsey is now able to rejoin the circuit. In 4th position, Ryan Skywalker is up into 3rd. And that diffuses that battle a lot quicker than I expected it to. But that's all part of the fun.
That's all. 2 laps to go for Peter Jones. This one and one more.
Indeed, the clock does tick down to 0, which means that Peter Jones is now on the penultimate lap. He's coming onto the pit straight, and this is the battle as we come down to start, well, the last half of the penultimate lap, and we're going to come on to the final lap. The gap at the lead of the pack has come down below a second.
And there's
a back marker off. There's a back marker off in the Curva Nord. Fortunately, he's out of the way. And Peter Jones manages to hold on to this lead for a little bit longer. But it looks like Max Newt 7 might potentially have Peter Jones now. He's got the bit between his teeth and he's got the gap down underneath the second. And look at the slipstream that Max Newt 7 is getting on Peter Jones. He's gaining ever so slightly as he heads down the straight. And then now he's losing time. I can't make sense of it. These two drivers are just driving at the exact same pace. But this gap has definitely come down from 1.5 seconds to about 0.8 of a second, 0.9 of a second, so we'll see if it can develop any more as they come onto the final lap. Max Newt 7 bouncing off the rev limiter, out of the curb of Sud, off the banking, onto the bumpiest flat start straight you've ever seen in your life. Here in 1966, of course. Tarmac, not quite. The watchword, Max Newt 7 gets himself into the 142s. That's the 242s. That's the first 242 lap we've seen in a race, and that's a blistering lap from Max Newt 7. And he's trying to find any time he possibly can on Peter Jones, and he finds a little bit of time in Curva Grande there. Peter Jones not quite getting the best entrance into the corner there, but he's balked his exit a little bit here as Max Newt 7, and he's not gained a whole lot of time. Peter Jones holding on to this position absolutely valiantly. Coming into Lesmo 1, Peter Jones looking in his rearview mirror is going to see a mirror full of finish. And he's going to be wanting to see a windscreen full of finish flags. Surely soon. Max Newt 7, oh, drops the ball. Max Newt 7 has dropped the ball coming out on Lesmo 1 there, and he's dropped down. Wow, he's dropping down even further than that. Just a little bit of oversteer. And Max Newt 7 has well and truly dropped to the back of this battle, hasn't he?
Well, yeah, that's one trade-off with these cars. Really good, great racing, but one mistake and you can pack it up and leave.
You have to be absolutely on it all the way around the track, and well, unfortunately for Max Newt 7, that might spell the end of his.
Oh, Henry Comsey in the pit.
Henry Comsey has retired to the pits. Well and truly, yeah. What's gone on there? He was battling some damage that he collected with the back marker incident, but that looks to be his race over.
Smells like we. Smells like we, and I think that's his first top 5.
This is a great finish for Smells Like We. If it does finish as it is right now, only half a lap for Smells Like We to complete before his first top 5 finish. Diogo Teixeira holds the inside line as they're heading towards the Curva Nord and gets out the way of Peter Jones very well there. Is he going to get out the way of Max Newt 7 just as well? Well, we'll see how it happens, because Diogo Teixeira now is up to pace, and it's going to be a little bit more difficult for Max to get by him. But here we go. On the final lap, Peter Jones has had an absolutely valiant drive today. He started on pole position for the first race. He got punted off down into 9th, fought back up into 4th position, and started this race obviously from 4th back. And he battled his way through the carnage at the start-finish line. He came out on top, and he's held this first position from the first corner to the last corner. And here he comes out of the final corner to come across the line. Peter Jones, your winner for the second race here. Max Newt 7 crosses the line in 2nd position behind Diogo Teixeira. Ahead of Diogo Teixeira, excuse me.
He takes the fastest lap.
Oh, very interesting there. Yeah, Max Newt 7 takes the fastest lap with a
No, Peter.
Oh, excuse me, Peter Jones. Absolutely no slipstream at all. Peter Jones takes the fastest lap. Can Ryan Skywalker put up a fight? No, he's not going to, because he's going to spin across the line. Ryan Skywalker in 3rd position. But yes, that's very interesting. Peter Jones not only won this race, but out of slipstream on his own on track, managed to take the fastest lap of the race. That's awesome driving from the British driver there. Really putting a name for himself and taking himself well up the leaderboard with this win and nearly podium here today. Smells Like We. 4th position, a first ever top 5 for Smells Like We. That's awesome driving for him there, and we're all happy to see him doing very well there in 4th position. Keith Holt.
It's also
what's that?
Pete's first win.
I don't think it was Pete's first win. He won before, hasn't he?
I don't know.
No way. I think that is Pete's first win. That's incredible. I didn't clock that. Peter Jones has been such a standout driver in the last few races that he's done. I didn't even clock that was his first race win. That's fantastic news for Peter Jones, and it's great to see another brand new Track Titan Community race winner. We always love to see it. It's much better than having the same usual suspects finish in 1st place every week. So that's awesome to see from Peter Jones there. Great race from him. Definitely my driver of the day today. Alex Heller finishes in 6th position, and the last few drivers are going to come off the line. Monkey Mind, Alexander Gray, Diogo Teixeira, and Henry Comsey finishes in the pits a lap ahead of Wojtik, so I think he's still going to take home 1 point today. But that does about conclude the racing as the last few drivers crash across the line. And what a race that's been, Spitzler.
A very interesting race.
Very interesting race indeed. Let's try and grab our race winners. We've got Ryan Skywalker run the first race, and let's tag Peter Jones and see if he's available for an interview.
Oh wait, no, it's fine.
Just
And we can
putting him.
drag Ryan here.
Yeah, let's get Ryan Skywalker in. So, Ryan Skywalker in the comms box. He's been abducted. Ryan, that's a race win and a 3rd position. So not a bad day overall, especially considering you didn't reckon you were going to do very well.
Yeah, man, I got too much champagne this time around. I didn't expect that. But that second race, first start was it was chaos.
That was chaotic, wasn't it? There was drivers in the wall, left, right, and center. Did you get caught up in some of that chaos?
Yeah, mate, I got turned around because I don't know why, but I stupidly turned up my smoke effect just before this race. And don't ever do that. Any advice? This is advice for people. Don't do that because if people spin ahead of you everywhere, you couldn't see anything. I just saw the white in front of me. It was like I was in a cloud, and I don't know. It was just, and then when the dust settled, I was turned around. But then when I got back the right way, then I saw, oh, there's chaos everywhere. I must just dodge everyone, and then you get clipped here and there, but. Yeah, it's fun.
And also we have Peter.
We do
here.
have Peter in the box as well. Peter, it's great to talk to you. It's a first win. Well done.
It is indeed. It is indeed.
Cracking race from you. I'd said I've been singing your praises. You've had fans in the chat. You've been the driver of the day today. You fought through the wars in the first race. You started on pole, got punted into 9th, and battled all the way back to 4th. But how did that feel going off?
What, the first race or?
First race.
The first race. I kind of hate to say it, but I was kind of expecting it. Like, up until this point, I've not had a race where something didn't go wrong. So I was just kind of waiting. It's okay. I was just waiting. Oh, is it commentator's curse, is it?
It is,
yes.
Unfortunately. I asked Fitzland before every race who's going to be in the lead by the first corner, and he always says you, and he always curses you.
He always says me. Hey. Well, I appreciate you saying me. They didn't pan out how I wanted. But yeah, I was kind of expecting it, so I guess it wasn't really a huge shock when it happened, so I could just kind of get on with it, I guess.
Honestly, you found a ridiculous amount of speed. You were in the slipstream of every driver, and you were battling your way through them. Is it just the car and the track, the slipstream?
Not really. I'll be honest, the damage I got from getting punted around actually lost me quite a bit of speed in a straight line. So in practice, I was managing 258 going on to the second banking. And then in the races, I could only get 253, 254, which doesn't sound like a lot, but considering it's like a track where you only brake 3 times in as many minutes, that's kind of...
Yeah, that's very true. But honestly, you could not tell because you were just picking your way through the field. Of course, I've got Ryan here as well. Ryan cleared off at the front of the pack. You were 17 seconds ahead of it, so a little bit... You couldn't get the win in the first race, but I will go on to you for the second race. And that race start that was chaotic, how did you get through that?
I actually did get lucky in that one. So I couldn't avoid the people piling up in front. I ended up like rear-ending someone. But then me being rear-ended sent me backwards into somebody who then rear-ended me through a gap. So essentially, I got a slingshot out of that. I think it was Max Note, actually.
You and Max managed to come out on top of it.
Yeah.
How much do you pay him?
Oh.
I had a great start in race 1.
More than I have. Arm and a leg.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was a chaotic start, and you managed to come out on top somehow. Led that race from start to finish, so fantastic job on that second race. Yeah, Ryan, actually, and we can come to both of you for the start of the first race, because you were all starting. Yeah. I was amazed. I didn't realise this is how the grid worked here, but there were 3 alongside each other. That was a crazy start, and I thought, it wasn't expected. I thought it was going to be a normal grid, but I thought I saw, Peter, you got a fantastic, well, you had fantastic reaction times off the line, but then did you miss a gear or something going up?
No, I bogged. So the normal way of starting is you kind of mash the throttle and then you slowly release to kind of ease off the wheel spin. I released too quickly. So I eased off the wheel spin and just ended up bogging down. So that explains it.
That explains it, because I called it. I said you had a fantastic start, and then suddenly Ryan just came out of absolutely nowhere. Ryan, have you been practicing your race starts?
Oh yeah, clutch starts are my speciality now.
You don't have to worry.
Tom Jones.
Yeah, my trainer.
Your trainer, Tom Jones. Yeah, practicing away with you. But yeah, like Spitzam says, you might not have to worry about that for the next race, because I think...
Oh, don't even mention it. Don't even go there.
According to current predictions, the Nürburgring is going to win the vote.
Oh. He's going to win the
Oh,
race as well.
well-
None of us is going to win the race.
I mean, unfortunately, I'm not actually here for the next two. I'm away on
Oh,
holiday.
you're lucky.
Oh, that's a shame. I was
Is it-
going to ask if you were a Nürburgring expert, but
Is it Nordschleifer? Is it?
Yes.
yeah.
Oh damn! I
An
actually like.
X2010.
I actually like racing there. I actually do like racing there.
Oh god.
I'm normally fairly decent.
Well,
It would
Yeah.
be our first race for the Nordschleife.
yeah, it's going to be chaos. It is going to be chaos. But it's a shame you won't be able to join us there, Peter. But Ryan, do you know the Nordschleife well?
My map does. My map.
Your map knows everything.
I have to use that, dude. I can't do that track without the map app. I'm sorry, I can't.
I know Alexander Gray knows the track through his skin and bones. It's his most driven track on Assetto Corsa.
I know.
Right. Well, I'm expecting big things from Alexander Gray. Not so much big things from Ryan. And, well, I'll expect nothing from you, Peter, because you won't be here. But hopefully we'll see you back after a few weeks. Right?
Hope so. Yeah. Yeah,
Cracking.
definitely.
Right.
Well done, Peter.
Yeah, well done,
Cheers.
Peter. Great racing
Well done,
all
yeah.
round. My driver of the day. Ryan, also great racing. I don't want to discredit you, Ryan. You did also very well.
Yeah, I just kept away from everyone because look what happens if you don't keep away from everyone. You face the wrong way.
Exactly true. Exactly true.
It's about that Peter one for me actually, because now I have to find someone else to curse because he actually in one.
It was
Just curse
one.
Michelle because
Lucky.
Michelle is in the wars every race, so you can
Yeah,
curse him and he will
Michelle's always in
guarantee
the
you.
wars.
I can
know.
curse
Yeah.
Michelle. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, a shiny new role on Discord for you there, Peter. Brand new race winner, which is great to see.
Ah, lovely.
And I
Cheers.
won't keep you guys for much longer. Enjoy your evening. Thank you for racing,
Cool, man.
and well done.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
See you, boys.
My guys.
Right then. Moved myself into the wrong channel there. We're all good. Back in the commentary lounge, and that's the end of today's racing. Thank you to everyone that joined us here at Monza in 1966. We booted up the DeLorean. We booted up the Shelbys. And it was an Italian-American special. And what a special it was. A brand new race winner. And Ryan Skywalker closing up the gap at the lead of the championship. We'll see how the championship fares at the end of today. I've had no confirmation that it's the Nordschleife next week, but we all seem to be pretty sure that it will be. So
A lot
next
of
week,
people think it. So.
yeah, next week it'll be Track Titan Community Race with a slice of chaos at the Nordschleife in the, what's it called? The Red Bull.
Red Bull X2010 series. Oh, it's the more faster one, of course.
Chaos inbound. Hopefully Tom will be back next week as well to call that, but that'll be an interesting stream nonetheless. Hope to see you then. But from myself, Adam Chapman, and from Spitzlam in the commentary box with me as ever, thank you all for joining us for a great night's racing, and we'll see you next week.